Hey there, Internet. Welcome back to another postcard from your Philly neighborhood anarchist. I'm Anarchy in the 603, and I'm coming back at you again with another half baked, zero quality, unedited dispatch from my dome. So, sitting in the green home today because we're having some weird ass weather down here in New Hampshire. Like, when I was a kid, I remember us having to, back in my day, we used to have to wear like snowsuits over our Halloween costumes, come November, no, October, right? We were already having like knee deep snow by November, like snow on Thanksgiving. Common, common, common. This week, let's see, last week we had like 10-degree Fahrenheit temperatures, whatever that is, in, the rest of the world unit. But like we'd have like sub-zero temperatures at night and like 15 degrees in the day, and right now it's 40 degrees and raining, and later this week it's going to be in the 50s. It's all over the place. But I didn't come here to talk to you about the weather. What I came here to talk to you about was about my found family, actually. Let me talk to you about it. Hold on a second. So back when my son was 13, he's 23 now, he met a gal and they started seeing each other. A little puppy love thing, little early girlfriend, boyfriend crush thing going on. Anyway, they remained friends. Obviously, like 99% of high school sweethearts, it didn't work out. But that kid, it's one of those kids that their home life, like, I'm not going to tell their story for them. That's not me. It's not my story to tell. But let's just say their home life rivaled mine as far as trauma is concerned. And, they were very much one of those kids that they could really use somebody to take them under their wing. And I was that person. Like, my family was that family. Our home was that home, that safe space where you could come and you could just talk about what you needed to talk about, get it off your chest. And it didn't matter what it was. There was not going to be any judgment. There was not going to be any yelling, screaming, fingers of shaming and blaming. It is, okay, here's your situation. Let's see what we can do to help remedy this situation. Where are the harms that we can help you fix? And, well, I just got off the phone with that kid, actually. They're 22 now, living in Vermont, and when I tell you, I could not be more proud of that kid. I mean, young adult, obviously, now, but it's been almost 10 years that I've known them, and the amount that they have flourished and grown. And now here's the thing. That child has been, through their teen years, she's been in, they've been in and out of my life. I'll call her Unity. It's one of her nicknames anyway. Unity's been in and out of my life, like, how can I say, like, as circumstances allow, and sometimes we would go months without talking, and I would just randomly encounter her on the street, or sometimes, she would just reach out of nowhere in a moment of crisis. And I've always made good on my promise. If you need me, you have my number. I don't care what time it is. 3 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, you call me. Now, I've been there over the years for trips to inpatient hospital for them. I've been their safety person. I've been, in times of crisis, I've been that person who's come to the hospital, who's come to their home, who's come to some random sidewalk and found them. And without that safe place to land, without that loving, nurturing, caring, I am only in this for your health and safety, not my personal gain, that kid wouldn't be here today. And that child, she's not a child, she's a young adult. She is an artist and musician and designer. Like, this being completely embodies art and music in ways that I could only begin to describe. And the world would be so much less without them in it. And so many times that beautiful being was used, abused, cast aside, treated like garbage, and I had been there. I had walked many, many, many of the same paths they had in my own time. And I too, at one point, had been considered nothing better than garbage. But no human is discardable. No human is just another mass-produced thing, like a Diet Coke bottle. Like, human lives have value. And if not for us treating that child when she was a child as though she had value, she wouldn't still be here. And guess what? She's coming down to visit me from Vermont this week. And we are going to have a wonderful time. And, like, I guess the point of this whole thing is, the importance of seeing the humanity in another person and understanding that none of us are discardable. That we all have something that we bring to the universe, and it's all worthy. It all matters, right? Like, the way that you treat the least of us, it shows really the best of humanity. And it's something that I've been really seeing a lacking in, is that empathy, that recognition of, is that even a word? Recognition, anyway, of the humanity in other people. That each one of us is out here just trying our best with the tools and the resources that we have. And, like, talking about entire swaths of people as though they mean nothing, it does something to your soul, and it says a lot about your soul, you know? But beyond that, though, is the power of found family. Like, hold on a second. Unity may have started out as my kid's girlfriend, but over the years, you know, they've become my foundling, my occasional ward, unofficially, like, and I have been like a maternal type figure to them, and now that they are a young adult who doesn't need that maternal type energy so much anymore. I am their mentor in a lot of ways. And it really reminds me just of how important it is to have to understand the power of found family. Like that kiddo is not my child by any means. There's no genetic link between us, but the bonds that we have are so much more than that of genetics. Like the bond that I have with them is no less strong than if I had brought them to the world with my own body myself, you know? And I know that they would move heaven and earth for me in return. Like, just because these people were not born to me or of my blood doesn't mean that they're any less meaningful or impactful, you know? And a lot of us, especially these days, a lot of folks out there, you're struggling right now because of, you know, having lost that sense of family and identity. And I've struggled with that too, you know, over the course of these last several years, what with my marriage going as it has, with my husband becoming more increasingly right-wing, and I having always been an anarchist. And like that feeling of loss, I get it, I do, and it's, I think, more important than ever in these times to really lean into your found family. Like, check in with your friends or even close acquaintances, because who knows just what that checking in might do, and it might flourish into something more long-term and strong. And it's important as well to allow yourself to be a safe place for people when forming these community bonds. Like, if you're pouring time and energy into somebody else's well-being, and you're doing it for any other gain besides the gain of seeing them have shelter and nurturing and comfort and aid, if you're doing it for anything beyond that, you're not doing it for the right reasons. If you're doing it for you, if you're doing it like for yourself, like to get some kind of accolades or to get something out of them, then you can fuck right off with that shit, buddy. Like, if you want to reach out a hand in kindness, do it because you would like that to happen to you, you know? I mean, I know it's really, like, cliche and trite to boil it down to such, like, schoolyard golden rule basics, but, like, yeah, would you want somebody reaching out their hand to you that's only looking to, like, get a, like, what is it, like, a reciprocal piece of ass, or, like, some kind of, like, favor in return later? Like, that's gross. And you should fuck off with that. But, like, gain and worth, the idea of these things being tied exclusively to money, it's a cancer. It is. Like, what gain have I received from nurturing this young adult and being like that figure for them? The gain has been seeing one more young person successfully continue work to overcome their trauma and flourish and have a beautiful life that they live on their own terms, healthily, and with an eye toward a future. Like, that's enough for me, you know, and it should be enough for anybody. Like, what do I get? The warm, fuzzy feeling of seeing them happy. And, like, ain't that parenting anyway? You know, like, my own son, he's 23, he's still living at home because, I grew up multi-generational. I'm half Filipina, on my mother's side, and I was raised culturally Filipina. And in our culture, it is no shame to live at home for as long as you want. I mean, you could be fucking 50 years old and still live with your parents. There's no shame in that. It makes economic sense. I mean, it must be nice to have grown up in a country where up until housing got so exclusionary, or as long as you were, you know, as long as you were white, basically, you could pretty much buy a house anywhere you wanted if you had the money, and nobody would tell you no. But, you know, redlining is a thing that people of color have experienced, especially the black community have experienced. And they, like, they have a multi-generational kind of setup for a lot of their families too, you know? Like, the parallels are definitely there, but I'm getting off the point. Anyway, point is, we're multi-generational, and a lot of that came down to us not having the luxury or the privilege of being able to just set out on our own. But it also comes from culturally, we were always multi-generational. Like, our culture is very community oriented. So he still lives at home. For us, it's not weird. And anyway, like, right, back around the point. The whole point is, we, as parents, the expectation is, you know, you raise a child to hopefully not ever need you again, right? Like, if I'm lucky, he's gonna want to hang out with me, which he does. But in times of crisis, eventually he's not gonna need me anymore. And with Unity, like my found family, my foundling, it's the same kind of thing, you know? And I mean, helping any human, it's gonna be a lot like that. Like, some people have higher needs, higher levels of needs than others. And, you know, it's up to you to set boundaries of what you were able to give. But at the same time, like, ultimately the goal is to get them to the point where they don't need that anymore. Self-sufficiency. Anyway, I'm at the point where I'm rambling, and I probably should have cut this off long ago. So, blah, blah, blah. Family's important. Found family and otherwise. Y'all should take care of each other. It's raining. I'm cold. And this is Anarchy in the 603 out.